Welcome to the Young Granny Show. I'm your host, Brittany. We're skipping the midlife crisis and diving straight into the cozy world of all things young granny. I will highlight artists and creators who share their passion for slow living, creativity, and the art of a handmade life. So grab your yarn, a cup of tea, and let's get started. Hello, Megan. Welcome to the Young Granny Show. I'm super excited to have you today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited, Brittany.
Yeah, so you are Miss Megan from the Sourdough Rebel. That is your handle on Instagram. You are a bread baker. You are what I like to call a homesteading light mama. You have a little boy who's freaking adorable. I love all the videos that you post of him. And I wanted to have you on today as our first bread baker on the Young Granny Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Bread has been like such a healing thing for me, and we'll get into all of that. But yeah, it's just been like a way to kind of connect with your like ancestral roots, you know? But yeah, homesteading right, for sure is how we live it over here.
Yeah, awesome. And before we dive right into how you got started, what is in your comfort cup today?
It is an iced coffee. You can see the color is, I don't know, what would you call this? Like khaki,
Yeah.
maybe a dark khaki.
Yeah.
I definitely am not a black coffee drinker, but if it's 5 degrees outside or 105 degrees outside, it will be always iced coffee.
Nice. Are you picky about your ice? Do you have a preference?
We, so no, we have like a little countertop ice maker.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if it's like nugget ice, but it's the ice that has like a hole in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So
I think they call it nugget ice. I think there's when I was I was actually just having a conversation about this the other day about nugget ice. There's like the Sonic and Chick-fil-A soft crunchy nugget ice, but then there's the nugget ice that you have, which is the hole in the middle.
uh,
Um, they're both nugget ice. So if you're ever searching for a nugget ice maker, pay attention to which one it's making because I like the soft crunchy ones. That's what I search for.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, tell us when did you get into making bread?
Yeah. I feel like I have to like really take you back a bit. Like I can't just tell you when I started baking bread because
Yeah.
there's kind of a whole I have to give you the lore of how this all
The whole
started.
journey. Got
And
it.
this is like pre-COVID. So I'm really taking you back. Okay, my husband and I got married in 2017 and we wanted to wait a few years before we like started trying to have a baby. And so it was like 2019 that we decided, okay, we're going to try to get pregnant. And it took a while, as it does. Like, I didn't know anything about anything fertility, anything pregnancy. Like, I didn't know you could only get pregnant one day a month. I knew nothing about ovulation. So I like got the Flow app on my phone. I started like tracking my cycle, you know, all the things.
All the things. Yeah.
And I don't actually think I started using the ovulation tests at that point. I think that we were just kind of like seeing how things go. I was using the app. The app would kind of tell me anyway. So, it was like January 2020, early January 2020. I found out that I was pregnant and we were so excited and, you know, told the parents and, you know, friends. And I started making a registry and, putting things together. And I was thinking like, okay, is it going to be a boy or a girl? And, you know, we're just like thinking about all of the things. I called my doctor to make an appointment and I was like shocked that they were like, oh, like 8 to 10 weeks, you know? So we made an appointment for the end of January and okay, what do I do until then? They're like, well, you know, start taking a prenatal and, you know, if you are feeling any symptom, like if you're like severely nauseous, call us because we can, you know, help you with that. Okay, sure. So I started taking a prenatal vitamin and, I was at work one day and I just like felt kind of funny and, I went to the bathroom and I knew that it was not good. And, so I called the doctor first and she said, well, it sounds like this is what's happening. And basically there's nothing we can do. You may want to do this at home. Cause I was probably like 6 or 7-ish weeks.
Mm-hmm.
She said, you may want to do this at home. And so I called my husband. I said, what do I do? And he said, well, if you want to go to the hospital, I'll meet you there. And if you want to go home, I'll be there too. So I went home and I had my first miscarriage. And it was really hard. Like you don't get pregnant for the first time and expect not to meet that baby.
Yeah.
Um, and my hands are like shaking. Um, yeah, you don't expect to not meet that baby. And so, I mean, it was like a month and a half later that the whole world shut down. So there was just like a lot. That year was a lot, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, my friend got married in like February. So we like, went to her wedding. That was about 2 weeks after my miscarriage. Um, and it was so fun to like celebrate, but like I look back at those pictures and I'm like, I don't even know I don't even know who she was. I don't even know who
Yeah.
that girl was because
Yeah.
I was not there.
Yeah.
Um, and then, we kept trying. And then in April, I had what they call a chemical pregnancy.
Mm.
So I got a positive pregnancy test and maybe a week or so later, got my period.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't even like have time to call the doctor yet at that point.
Yeah.
Um, and then that summer we decided like we needed a change. So we put an offer in on the house that I am sitting in now. Um, and there's lore to this house too. It was like my grandpa's cousin's house and they built it
Oh,
sometime in the 40s and my grandparents live a couple houses down and so
yeah.
my dad owns that house now. My sister and her husband and their kids live there. So it's a whole,
That's
we
so
got like a
special.
family compound going on
Yeah.
right now. Across the
That's
street,
really
we have
cool.
some peaches and it's just like, our little piece of the world right here. But
Yeah.
it worked out. There was a little chaos with all the escrows and everything, but we bought this house and in the middle of all of that, we found out again that we were pregnant. And I thought this is perfect. This is like we're going to leave behind this house where all of these awful things happened and this is going to be great. Moved into the house. I went to my first doctor appointment. We saw the baby. We saw a heartbeat, and I'm by myself too because this is during COVID.
COVID in California, especially.
COVID in California was an interesting time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was by myself. My husband was on FaceTime and we saw the heartbeat and I recorded it and my doctor printed out some pictures and he was like he was so excited for us. And a few weeks later I went in for like my 10-ish week appointment. I was almost 11 weeks at that time. And again, my husband's on FaceTime and as soon as like they put the picture up on the screen, I knew something was wrong because you know exactly where to look for like the little heartbeat. And like I'm a pro
Hmm.
at this point, and I'm like, there's no movement there. And then they turn on like a switch where you can see like blood flow, and I can see blood flow like around my uterus, but there's nothing going through the baby. And I was
Yeah.
like, damn, this is happening
Hmm.
again.
Hmm.
Um, and then he had to send me because my body hadn't figured out what had happened yet at this point. I'm like so close to the, for end of the first trimester. So I'm like thinking we're almost out of the woods. And then obviously we weren't. And so we opted to have a D&C because we wanted to find out like what exactly had happened. We wanted some answers, right? This keeps
Yeah.
happening. It's not like 3 in a row. This is not, normal.
Yeah.
Something is wrong. And we did find out what had happened, and that was like a little bit of closure for us. It was kind of like a freak thing that is like such a small percentage of chances, one of it happening, period,
Yeah.
but of it happening again. So that was kind of um, just some closure for us on that one.
Yeah.
Um, and after that, I was pretty depressed. I was not in a good place, and I was not very healthy. I was not making good choices with food that I was eating and like didn't exercise. I mean, I was not happy.
Hmm.
And it was probably at least 6 months before I kind of started to come out of it and I told my husband like I feel like I need to get healthier. Like I don't know how I can expect to carry a child in a body that's like not healthy. And
Hmm.
not just like physically not healthy, but like mentally, emotionally. I was not in a good place, right? I was so
Yeah.
upset. I felt like felt like my body had let me down. I felt like God had always told me, like, you're meant to be a mom, and then you're making it so hard for me. And I was angry.
Yep.
Um, and uh, we made some really big changes. And this is kind of where the lifestyle change kind of like kicked in. I dove really deep into the non-toxic everything. I got rid of our plastic Tupperware and switched everything to glass. Even like my straw in my coffee is a glass
Yep.
straw. I changed our laundry detergent. I changed our cleaning products. My husband hated the laundry detergent switch because he's like, my clothes don't smell clean.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but they are
They just smell
clean. They
like
just
clothes.
don't smell like, yeah, they just don't smell like
Fragrance.
fragrance,
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a lot of like changes. And we also then looked at like food. Like I am like ashamed to say that this was like a reality for me, but like I wasn't really happy at my job either. And so like I would eat fast. I probably ate McDonald's like 3 or 4 times a week, which like does not make like I look at pictures and like my face is like completely round. Like you can see the inflammation in my body and the depression and like you can just see that I'm like not well.
Yeah.
And so we both lost a lot of weight. I think combined it was almost 100 pounds between the two of us that we lost,
Awesome. Yeah.
and made a lot of changes. I started taking, I read the book, It Starts with the Egg. Anyone in the
Great
fertility
book.
community is probably very familiar with that. Read that, got our supplements in line for both of us. And really, we just overall like felt, and I was like, we're just going to focus on us. Like, we're not even going to think about having kids. And that was so healing. And like a grief experience as a couple can make or break you. It could have completely broken us, like losing these babies.
Hmm.
Because also you process grief differently.
Very
Like I
differently.
carried them, right? So
Yeah.
I felt like I knew them, but like this was during COVID. He saw them on a screen. Like it just wasn't the same connection. And it's not a knock to my husband at all. It's just so
No.
different for them
Yeah.
because you're not feeling sick, you're not
Right.
getting the headaches, you're not throwing up in the toilet. Like
Hmm.
it's just a different experience,
Hmm.
and there's nothing bad about that. It's just different.
Yep.
And so anyway, we went through all these lifestyle changes, and finally it was probably like late 2022 that our marriage was in a great place. Our health we felt was in a great place, and so we were ready to try again. And I just had like my normal checkup in like March, I think. March, April, May. Yeah, it was March of 2023. Had my normal checkup and, they do all the things. And um, the nurse came in and said, uh, it was actually in the middle of the doctor's like, check in under the hood. And she comes in and, knocks on the door, comes in and goes, her pregnancy test is positive. And I was like, you're kidding. No, 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 no. Because we hadn't been trying. Like, this is not, I went to make sure everything was okay
Yeah.
and all of that. And he's like, well, when was your last period? And my cycles had been kind of funky. And so we sort of guessed that I was maybe between like 5 and 9 weeks at the time. And so he's like, well, let's go do an ultrasound. We did an ultrasound. He didn't see anything. He's like, we're probably on the earlier end. We're going to do a blood test. So they did a blood test. And, if you're familiar with the blood test process, they do one to check your HCG levels. And then they do another about 48 hours later, which tells them how the pregnancy is growing, if your numbers are going up, how quickly they're going up, or if they're not going up. So we did one blood test and the number came back the highest I had ever had one. So I thought, okay, well, this is a good sign. And then we did another one 48 hours later and it had dropped. And I was like, well, all right, we weren't really trying. I know how this goes. It's just a freak thing. We'll get through it. I feel healthier. I feel better. And like mentally I was in a much different place to kind of like handle that, right?
Hmm.
And so, things started to happen. I thought, great, we're through the miscarriage. But then I had some home pregnancy tests and I took them. We're trying to track it down to zero, right? I want to make sure my
Yeah.
levels get to zero so that we can start trying again because we're like ready to go. We got the all clear, things are good. And they're positive. And this is like now 2 weeks after this had kind of happened. So I'm like, all right, well, something's not right. And I was kind of, I mean, we're gonna get a smidge gory here, but like I was having bleeding, and so, and it was a lot, and so I thought that was kind of funky, and so I called the doctor, and they kept ordering HCG tests just to track it down, and I still wasn't at zero. It was like
Mm.
500, I think, or something. And so he's like, all right, well, we're gonna wait a week and test it again. So the time goes on. We're doing these testing. I'm having these bleedings about every like 1 to 2 weeks. So finally, it's like early May 2023, and I'm still pregnant, according to these pregnancy tests, air quotes, pregnant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so can we just like, can we do a DNC? Can we just like clear all of this out? Like something didn't complete properly. Like I can't move on
Yeah.
until we move on from this.
Yeah.
And so they had me do an HCG test and it went up a little bit. Not a lot. It was like 90. It went from like 80 something to like 97 or something like that. So he said, well, I don't think I'm going to see what I need to see on an ultrasound in office. I need you to like go over to the emergency room. They'll get you in. So did the whole thing. And as soon as the technician they did it's a vaginal ultrasound. So as soon as she like I get it up on the screen, I could see that like my uterus did not have anything in it, but I also saw something that I hadn't seen before. And then she turned the screen away, and I had my phone with me, and I texted my husband. I said, I don't think I'm leaving the hospital today without having surgery. And it turns out it was an ectopic pregnancy.
Mm.
So at this time, it's like 14 weeks that it had been growing. It was 10 centimeters in my right fallopian tube.
Oh.
So they had to take the entire tube. Thankfully, I was able to keep the ovary. And my left tube looked clear from the outside, but we would have to do, what is that test called? HSG, where they like put
Yeah.
dye in to make sure. So we did end up doing that down the road. But anyways, this ectopic pregnancy was kind of where the sourdough journey started, because at this point I'm thinking, all right, we're getting pregnant and I'm either having a miscarriage or it's like planting itself in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Something is not like, for whatever reason, I am just, it's feeling like I'm not meant to like nurture a baby. And for me, baking sourdough bread helped me heal, because it was like, okay, here's this really, really tough season, and there's so much loss that we were dealing with, and sadness and grief and frustration. And all of this was out of my control. But I had this sourdough starter that I could nurture and I could grow. And like touching the dough with my hands, it was just like this really quiet ancestral healing process for me. Giving the starter flour and water, watching it grow, shaping the dough, watching it rise, trying cool little scoring designs. And it just was a really good reminder that even though growth wasn't happening where I wanted it to, it was still happening.
Yeah.
And the growth process was there. My mom had also bought me a rose bush for Mother's Day in 2022. And we planted it, and it didn't have any flowers that year. And then in 2023, it finally had some flowers. Beautiful, beautiful flowers. I'll send you a picture actually of like one of the roses on there, because they're beautiful. They're like it's not one color. There's like, it's like a light pink, and then the edges are like a bright pink.
Oh,
anyway,
wow.
and they smell really good too. That's why it was like her favorite rose.
Yeah.
And she had bought that for me for Mother's Day, because she acknowledged that for me, and I really loved that.
Yeah.
And so that year it had flowers on it. And so that and the sourdough bread were kind of like my two little reminders that like there was still growth happening, even though I couldn't, even though I couldn't carry a baby at the time, like there was still growth in other areas of my life. And I also started a garden. And so I had all of these other things that were growing, even though I wasn't able to grow a baby. So there's my super long roundabout way of telling you how I got started baking sourdough bread.
Yeah. That's you made me tear up there at the end. And I think a lot of women that will resonate with. I know I have not had any miscarriages myself, but it took us 3 years to be able to conceive my son. And that was easily the most painful time in my life. And I felt very similar to you. My body is failing me. But then, you're like, I can't keep that. I can't hold on to that thought because then it's going to keep, failing me. And it's just this vicious cycle along with your cycle that is so painful to go through. Um, and I know there's a lot of people that I speak with online and in my real life that experience this. And then, a lot of us do find meaning in things like gardening and like baking sourdough or bread in general, because you're in a season where you're trying to nurture and you're trying to grow something. And exactly what you said, it gives you that ability to do that and nourish yourself at the same time, and learn a lot of lessons that will only benefit you when you do conceive or adopt or what have you. So, um, thank you for being so vulnerable in speaking about your babies, all of them, um, and your journey. I know you're not alone. And to anybody listening, you're not alone. Here's two women in front of you sharing the same thing. So, giving you a big hug.
I feel it.
Yeah. Um, so, uh, you got started baking. Um, what was that like for you, sticking to bread for now? Where did you start? Did you have success right away? Lots of fails? How was that? How was starting sourdough for you? And you speak about, feeling your ancestral roots through that and healing that. I get that. But talk a little bit about what that feels like for you.
Yeah. So, so you could see sourdough on social media is like a very like popular thing. A lot of people did it during COVID, so I was a little behind the train on that one. I was a little busy during COVID, so um, I don't know, scrolling TikTok or Instagram, and I came across a video of um uh Sourdough Sparrow on Instagram. I don't know if you follow her. Um, and she was like jiggling the sourdough and it like looked like fun. And I had made like yeasted bread before. I tried to do like a copycat macaroni grill
Mm,
bread. They do like a rosemary, like little circular loaf that tear off or cut off and dip in the olive oil and the balsamic vinegar. And so, anyways, I had done some of those because I had some fresh rosemary at my house. And they were delicious. And so I thought, well, that could be fun. And so I ordered a dehydrated starter and yeah, had success like right away. But it was because I bought a dehydrated starter. I didn't like try to make my own with flour
yeah.
and water. And honestly, I'll tell everybody, like, why are you going to try to make your own? Just buy one. It's so much easier. There's probably someone down the road that has one. They'll give you a little bit of their starter. I've done that for several of my friends. I think my sister's probably picked one up for me about 4 times now because she will forget about it and kill him. She's got 2 kids. She's a bit busy, but
Yeah.
yeah, she'll like forget it on the counter or something and it dies. And so she needs more. But, I think now at this point, she's like resorted to just like, hey, I need some sandwich bread this week or something. But yeah, it was really easy and I was shocked at how easy it was. Um, I will caveat with like cooking and baking have always been pretty simple for me. Like, um, it's never been something I've struggled with. I've always felt really confident in the kitchen, throwing things together. I rarely follow a recipe, which is why it's so hard for me to get recipes out for people
Yeah.
because I don't write it down. I just do it. And then I'm like, oh crap, I gotta like remember what I did, like how, so I have like envelopes everywhere, like mail envelopes, and I'll write down I put 200 grams of flour because I'm trying to remember like how much I put into something. Yeah, I just had one that I was writing. I was writing on a recipe and it was on the back of a bill envelope that I
Yeah.
just jotted it down on the counter and then I crossed stuff out. And anyways, it's always just come very, very natural to me. And yeah, it's just like a, I don't know, a really nice like healing process. And so I know sourdough can like seem really intimidating because there's like all these steps. You got to feed the starter, then you got to wait for the dough, and it's tough too when you read a recipe and it says like to let the dough, bulk ferment for 8 hours. Okay, well, I live in California and right now it's 105 degrees today. So 8 hours it's going to be way overproofed. And so learning how to look at the dough and watch the way the dough behaves and not like a clock. And I think that is what can be intimidating for people, right? Because if you just buy like regular, yeast at the store, you know exactly how long it's going to take because there's a science to it. Whereas this is, yes, there is, yeast that like you could buy at the store is part of one of the yeast cultures that's in sourdough, but there are also other ones and it's just a bit slower
Yeah.
and a bit different. And so there is a learning curve. I would be naive to say there's not a learning curve. But like once you figure it out and it like clicks, um, you can make it work for you. And that's kind of all, that's really where I started was because I was trying to, watch videos and like learn. And there were all these like rigid rules. And I was like, that's not going to work for me. Like I have to go to work. I can't sit here and like watch this sourdough rise and know when it's done. I'm going to just stick it in the fridge and slow it down. And you would see people say, well, you only should, cold proof at the end, or, you can't put it in the refrigerator for 2 rises. You can only do it for 1, or I never use the refrigerator because I don't think it works. And everyone has their own idea about what is good and what isn't good. So I say, do what works for you. And if you like it, that's really all that matters. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
look like a magazine. If it tastes good, it might be ugly, but it's going to taste good.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't I haven't made sourdough yet. I make biga bread. Have you
Oh,
heard of biga bread?
yeah.
I make biga bread. That's like my it feels like my little safety in between. Um, I started baking bread shortly after we moved to Texas. We left California in a big old hurry, came to Texas, left everybody and everything we knew behind. And I had massive amounts of anxiety, um, and just felt like I needed to get my hands in something, um, and learn something new. So that's what brought me along with, I wanna kind of revive old family skills and be able to make healthy bread if anything were to happen, all those things. That's what brought me to baking my own bread. And I started with a no knead beginner's loaf. And oh my gosh, I was so ecstatic. And then slowly got to the Biga bread. Biga bread, um, so your sourdough, you have this starter that keep running all the time. Biga bread, if you don't know, most people don't. They're like, what are you talking about? Biga bread is you make the starter, the pre-ferment, the night before. And then it's part yeast and then part flour. And so it's kind of an in between of a yeasted bread and a sourdough. And it's easier for my brain at the moment to be like, I want to bake bread tomorrow. Like I'll start the starter tonight. So if you're a beginner at baking bread and sourdough is super intimidating to you, I suggest a Biga bread or a Polish, which is very similar, just different ratios.
You can
Uh,
do the same thing with a sourdough starter. I want to
have
bake
you?
bread tomorrow, so let me feed my starter tonight before I go to bed, and then it's
Yeah.
ready for you, ideally, in the morning,
Okay.
depending on your
So,
like ratio.
so one of the things that I can't wrap my head around is using the starter at its peak. Like, how do I, especially let's say I leave it out on the counter overnight and, I have a similar climate to you. It's Texas, summertime, everything's hot all the time. So, like, what if it's past its peak? Is it still going to make a strong bread?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, Short answer, yes. I've straight up taken my like discard out of the refrigerator and put it in a bowl and made bread with it. Um, Part of that has to do with having like a healthy starter.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to like make your starter healthier and like stronger, I would recommend keeping it on the counter for a while and giving it some like regular feedings so that it kind of goes through multiple like growing, rising, and falling processes
Mm.
um, to kind of get like some really good, strong yeast cultures in there. And then what I did just after kind of some research and like looking at things online is I like starved it for a couple days because you can't leave it on the counter indefinitely. It will die.
Yeah.
The refrigerator slows it down and kind of puts the yeast to sleep. So I've left it in the fridge for like up to 7 months and it's been fine.
Mm-hmm.
My point in saying that is you can't do that on the counter. So I would go like no more than 48 hours without feeding it. But at that point it's very hungry and you can tell when you smell it, it smells like rubbing alcohol or nail polish remover. It's very like a very sharp, strong smell.
Yeah.
Kind of like an alcohol-y kind of smell. That means it's hungry. And so I would do that. And my theory, obviously I haven't tested this, but my theory in that is when I'm starving it, the weak yeast cultures are dying. And so now when I feed it, I'm feeding like the strongest of the strong.
Mm.
And then I'm going to do it again. And it's going to kill off the weak ones. And now I'm feeding the strongest of the strongest of the strong.
Yeah.
And so now I'm building this like army in my mind of really buff yeast cultures, bacteria cultures that will tolerate just about anything.
Yeah.
And I have yet to kill my starter in 2 years.
That's
So
so cool.
I'd say it's
Yeah.
working. Um, but yeah, so there's also like different ratios. So like if you look up by ratio, I mean you have a certain amount of like starter that I already have in my refrigerator, and I'm feeding it a certain amount of flour and a certain amount of water. And that's like the flour and the water are the food. I'm really trying to explain this well because it makes
You're
sense in
doing
my
good.
head. But I want to make sure, tell me if it doesn't because I can clarify.
So far, I'm following right along. It's all good.
Okay. So if you look up like feeding ratio, most stuff will say a 1 to 1 to 1, which
Yeah.
means 1 part starter, 1 part flour, 1 part water. So if you have 10 grams of starter, you're going to feed it 10 grams of flour and 10 grams of water. That's very small. You'd have a very small amount of starter at the end, but for easy numbers.
Yeah.
Um, I find for me that that's and my climate, it's a bit too watery. And when you have that much water, the yeast and bacteria can eat through the flour a lot quicker.
Mm.
So it rises and falls a lot faster. So I do
Okay.
a little less water. So I like to do like about 3/4 of the amount of water. So if I'm doing 100 grams of starter, feeding it 100 grams of flour, I'm only going to feed it about 75 to 80 grams
Got
of
it.
water.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a bit stiffer. It's like really, really thick muffin batter. Like
Sure.
it feels very dense. But it airs right up. Like if you look at any of my videos, most of them are feeding it that kind of a ratio.
Okay.
So like in Texas, California, like these like warmer climates, if I'm going to feed it tonight and I want it to be ready in the morning, even at my like lower ratio of water, it's probably still going to have risen and fallen by the morning. So what you can actually do is go like a little bit of starter to more flour and water.
Mm.
So maybe do 10 grams of starter and feed it 100 grams of flour and 70, 80 grams of water. And that's now like a 1 to 10 to 7, 8. That would be
Mm-hmm.
your ratio. 1, 10, 7.
Yeah.
That would be your ratio if you're following that. So that is going to rise a lot slower because I'm giving it such a tiny amount of the yeast and bacteria from the starter
Yeah.
compared to the amount of flour and water. So there's a lot of flour and water for this little bit of starter to eat,
Yeah.
quote, eat through. And so it'll go a bit slower. That would probably be ready by the morning for me to bake at peak.
Yeah.
Now, again, like I've said, if I did the normal 1 to 1 to 1 ratio and it rose and fell, I would make bread out of it.
Yeah.
The bread that I was eating before we started recording,
Yeah.
it had risen and fallen by the morning. And it was very flat and sad, and I made bread out of it and it came out
Yeah.
great. So
Yeah.
you could do it either way.
Got it. The other problem I ran into, which silly me, took me forever to figure out. I did have intention to start with sourdough. I have RO water in my house, reverse
Oh,
osmosis,
reverse osmosis. Yes.
and I tried for I think about 2 months with multiple dehydrated starters and then, just flour and water. And it never, I think I had one day where I was like, oh, there's signs of life. And then I realized it was because of my water.
Mhm.
I don't want to use tap water. What kinds of water are good if you don't want to use tap water? Um, what should I use?
Yeah, I would use filtered water. I prefer spring water. We get bottled spring water like delivered to
Uh-huh.
us. We are in the country, we're on a well. We don't have to use tap water, but just with our proximity to um there's like a chicken farm behind our house and some other
Hmm.
things, I just feel better. The water's fine. We've had it tested, but I just feel better about the bottled spring water. So,
Yeah.
um that's what I use, bottled spring water. And then I also find that it works better if I've like heated it up a little bit past room temperature. So like
Mm.
90 to 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And then anything over like 115 degrees, you risk killing your starter. Much like regular yeasted bread, there's like, I think
Hmm.
it says like 110 or something is like your ideal temp. So
Yeah.
yeah, you don't want to go higher than that because that temperature could be too high.
Yeah. I recently did that.
I've done that before too. I'm like, why
Yeah.
isn't my yeast blooming? Oh, the water's 120 degrees. Cool.
That
I
was
just killed
exactly,
them all.
yep. Uh-huh. That's exactly what happened to me. Like, darn it. But I didn't notice until um after I was kneading the bread. I was like, this is just not
It feels wrong, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was fresh milled wheat. I wasted all of it. I was disappointed
That's a party foul for sure.
for sure. It really was. Um, so speaking of flour, what kind of flour do you like to use?
Yeah, I prefer organic bread flour. I will either get mine from, I really love Sunrise Flour Mill, total
Mhm.
plug. They're not paying me to say this, but they have
But
sent me
they
free
should be.
flour before. Yeah, they have sent me free flour before, but I do really love their flour. I love the way that it makes my bread taste. And then I also will use like King Arthur organic bread flour.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Costco's got a good organic, like fresh milled flour. I have not tried making bread with fresh milled flour yet, but my cousin's friend has a mill and like buys
Hmm.
her own wheat berries. And so I
Yeah.
said, next time you guys visit, I need you to bring me some fresh flour because I really want to give it a try. Because I know it's gonna be different.
Yeah.
I know the flour is gonna take a lot more water than my, white flour,
Hmm.
but I really wanna try it. I feel like that would be a good challenge for me.
Yeah. It's a challenge for sure. So I have my own grain mill mill grain, and I try to I kind of go back and forth, kind of depending on what my mood is, how easy I want it or not. Um, and that's
Do
a
you
whole,
go like 100% with the fresh milled flour, or do you do like a little
I,
bit of fresh milled and some store bought, or how do you do it?
when the first couple times I did it, I mixed it, with the Costco flour.
Mhm.
Um, rumor has it that the Costco flour, organic all-purpose flour comes from the central milling flour, which is what they used to carry,
Yeah,
and it's amazing. I love working with that flour, and this feels exactly the same. And the rumor is that's the
it's
Costco
the
one.
same. Yeah,
Um,
they do that,
yeah,
Costco.
yeah. Um, but I mostly have done a hard red wheat mixed with some einkorn. I think I did like 10 to 15% of einkorn wheat berry and then a hard red wheat berry. That's been my favorite. It is a hearty loaf. And each type of wheat berry will need a different amount of water. So I actually use, when I'm mixing those two, I actually use less water,
Oh.
especially if it's like if I've milled it within a day, because it's still holding on to all of that
Hmm.
moisture from being in the kernel. Um, so it's still very, you can feel it. Once when you mill it, it feels a little bit moist. Your hands are still, I love it. It's so
I
fun
want
to
to,
play with.
that's like that is a goal. That and pressure canning are on my list of
Mm,
things that I want to do.
yes. Yep. Yep. Canning in general is on my list. So it's a total different beast. It cooks, it absorbs water differently. It smells different. It is,
How is the taste? Like, do you get any bitterness out of it or
I
no?
wouldn't say it's bitter, but it is, I mean, it's hearty. Like it's not light and fluffy. It tastes like super nutty.
Ooh,
Um,
I love that.
yeah, like man,
Oh,
I'm a
I might
broken
have to
record.
add
It is
that to my
hearty. Yeah,
Christmas. I might have to add that to my Christmas list
yeah.
for sure.
I, well, and it's just I love watching the wheat berries go down, and then it has such a unique smell. Um, when it's being milled. I love it. I love playing with it. But my next goal, because I want it to be a little lighter and a little fluffier, my next goal is to figure out the ratio for the berries that I get between a soft white and red hard and mix it a little bit. Soft white wheat berries are really great for like pastries and baked goods
Hmm.
because it has such a low gluten content. It doesn't hold structure very well for bread. So I want to mix the two to give it a little bit of a lighter, more sandwich bread, white bread feel. But it's, oh my gosh, in like soup, and it's so good. It's so good. So
My mouth
highly
is watering
recommend it.
now.
Yeah.
Let me just wipe
But
the
even
drool
like,
off my chin.
yeah, when you're kneading it, it's like it's not as sticky.
Ooh,
It's really interesting to work with.
I'm so intrigued now.
Yeah,
Dang it, you've just added something to my list. The ever-growing list.
I know. I know. Um, so I'm gonna have to start my sourdough. I really want to. And then I think the process that I have with my biga for the kneading and the mixing and the fermenting and all that, it should work with sourdough. I feel like it's so similar, and so like you were mentioning before when you were first learning and observing from all these videos, everybody has their own way and it's the right way. And it's so confusing and it's so intimidating. And I think if you just try it and you just figure it out.
That's really where my Instagram handle came from was like breaking I want to break the rules. Like
Yeah.
I don't want people to feel like they have to follow this like rigid structure of things because it for me it felt so easy and so I wanted to make it easy and more accessible for people to understand like how to do it. And sure I'll share my process. I'll share what works for me, but like my house we're on a raised foundation, so our home tends to be a bit more humid
Mm-hmm.
than like someone who lives like on a cement foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just that we've got all this like cool air under our home that's coming in through like the ground vents. And so our house tends to sit at about like 60-ish percent humidity, sometimes more. And I can see that on like our thermostat. And so that also changes like the way your starter is going to behave because
Yeah.
there's more water theoretically like in the air. And so it's going to change how the starter is going to behave, how the dough is going to behave when
Yeah.
it's rising. I've had people message me like that live in like tropical environments and their dough is proofing so quickly
Yeah.
again because they're in like an open air home where it's like it might just be 85 degrees outside but it's also like 80% humidity.
Right.
And so it's just a different environment. So your home environment is totally going to have an impact on how your dough and your starter behave. So yeah, the process might work for someone, but learning from someone who's kind of in your same environment, that's gonna really help you kind of figure out like your timing,
Yeah.
because their process is gonna more closely resemble what like you're dealing with in your own home.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Um, a rabbit hole I found myself going on last night and into this morning is bread mixers, like dough mixers. Do you have one? Are you curious about them? I was looking at the Bosch one. Yeah.
Yeah, they're my hands.
Yeah. I won't.
I've used
Oh,
my KitchenAid before, because we have one. But yeah,
yeah.
I haven't really like thought about it.
Yeah.
I don't mind
I,
mixing it with my hands, but I think
yeah.
if I wanted to do it like on a commercial scale, like,
Mhm.
which I've thought about, but that's like maybe way down the road. But
Yeah.
have thought about it. But yeah, if I was doing it like on a commercial scale, yeah, I'd probably get a bread mixer. But
Yeah.
like an industrial one. Like
Yeah.
there's a local pizza place, and in high school I had a boyfriend who worked at the pizza place, and their KitchenAid is huge. Like it's
Yeah.
not like, I mean, it's not just like the big one. It's like like my make a circle with your arms, and that's like the size of the bowl of the KitchenAid. It's
Drum
huge.
or whatever. Yeah.
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 So I'm torn about it because um I want to be making more bread. I want to be making bread more frequently. And just the season of life I'm in, um, like the time it's taking to knead and specifically wash my hands every time and all the dough and clean my counter, all the things, it's preventing me from making as much bread as I want to. It's so silly. It is for sure a first world problem, but I love getting my hands in it. I love the feeling of the dough. I'm a slap and fold kneader. I love that slap and fold. And the stretching the dough and the mixing.
Yes.
I love it. I love getting my hands in it. Um, but from a time perspective, I was like, man, there's so many breads that I want to try and all these things. And um, I was my birthday's coming up and my mom was like, "What do you want? What's something that you wouldn't buy yourself?" And I was like, "I don't know." And then I saw an ad for it.
Of
I was like,
course.
"What is this?" Yeah. What is this? So
They're
I've been
listening.
yeah, rabbit hole of it. And so now I'm super curious. Like, do people use these? Because there's a big
I
ad
think
push
people
for it.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Bosch I've heard great things about. Did my dad just got a mixer, and now I'm trying to remember if he got a KitchenAid or a Bosch. Now I don't remember. I'm gonna have to check it out next time I go over to
Yeah.
their house.
Because I have the
But
KitchenAid, just your regular stand mixer, but
mhm,
the motor, especially for like the
yes.
fresh milled and stuff, I know it's not going to hold up.
Yeah.
Um, so I've never
Honestly,
used it.
I don't have an opinion. Like some people are like, "Oh, if it's a bread mixer or whatever, it's not real. It's not authentic." I
Yeah.
don't care. However, you can make
Yeah.
bread, even and this is what I tell people too. Even if it's with like yeast, I'm not like
Mhm.
a sourdough. What's the word I'm looking for now? I'm not going to tell you that you're not making real bread because you used yeast. Like,
Yeah.
however you
Yeah.
make bread, I think if you're making it yourself, that's going to be better than what you're buying at the store that's like full of preservatives. Because guess what?
Right.
Your ingredients at home are going to be like flour, water,
Yeah.
salt, maybe some olive oil, maybe some honey,
Yeah.
depending on like what kind of bread you're making. But like you could count the ingredients probably on one hand,
Mhm.
whereas you can't always do that with a store-bought
No,
bread.
that drives me crazy with store-bought sourdough.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like you look at the ingredients and you're like, that is not, what are these things that are in there? And it's such a, oh, like
It doesn't
I
even
have family members
taste
who are like,
the
oh, I
same.
eat sourdough only. And I'm like, yeah, but that's, that's not, like, it's not really sourdough.
Yeah, and the taste is different. I
Hmm.
didn't realize that sourdough could be soft
Yeah.
because I had always got sourdough in the store, and it was not like hard to the point where it's like dried out, but like it was just always firmer
Hmm.
than what I'm making at home. And I'm like, wow, this, like, I don't understand why my bread is so soft. And not that I didn't like it. I was just so
Yeah.
used to store-bought sourdough that I thought I was doing something wrong. And
Yeah.
then I realized, like, this is how it should be, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, moving right along. One of the things you said um, that you want to get into is pressure canning. So you can. And what kinds of canning do you currently do?
Yeah. So right now I just do water bath canning.
Yeah.
That's my go-to. So basically what water bath canning is, because canning itself can be super overwhelming. And the goal is you're cooking something, and preserving it, without, there's no oxygen in there, like it's not exposed to the air. And so you've cooked it and now it's preserved and can theoretically sit on a shelf till you're ready to consume it, which is a great way to preserve, like if you've got a home garden, it's a great way to preserve some of that stuff, so that you can enjoy it in a season where you may not have fresh tomatoes or fresh peppers or fresh fruit. Um, and so canning came about as a way to preserve food. I just do water bath canning right now, which is literally just boiling water over your jars, glass jars of whatever it may be. So water bath canning is great for, like high acid foods. So
Mm,
think your like tomatoes, jams, jellies, and like pickles. Cucumbers are not a high acid piece of produce, but you're putting them in vinegar, which
right.
is high acid. And so anything pickled, really, um, pickled peppers, pickled any kind of pickled veggie, anything pickled, you could do in a water bath canner as
Okay.
well. So that's what I do. And really, you don't need a whole lot. You need some glass jars and lids. You need a pot big enough to put a few jars in, which could be your like normal sized stock pot. And like a basic canning, you need the jar lifters because, like, how are you going to
Hmm.
put them in the boiling water and pull them out of the boiling water? Jar lifter, great investment. You could probably get one for like $6 or something on Amazon.
It's in my
And pick
cart.
something, yes, pick something simple too, like strawberry jelly. Everybody likes strawberry jelly. Kind of hard to mess that one up. The recipe's on the back of the Sure Gel that you could buy at the store. Make it super easy. And I swear, once you like open and like pop that jar of strawberry jelly open and put it on your biga bread, you are going to just be like, okay, I can't have store-bought strawberry jelly ever again. I can't have store-bought jelly again. This is too good. You're going to be hooked.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a fig tree in the back, and um, it has just exploded this year because we've had an unnatural amount of rain in the spring and then in this summer here in Central Texas. And this fig tree is just loving life. And historically, I haven't been able to get many figs because the birds eat them all. But like the other night, my son and I picked 6 pounds of figs. And that's like not
Yum.
even anywhere close to what's going to ripen over the next few
Yeah.
weeks. So I know I'm going to be making jam, fig compote. So let's walk me through what I would do. So I make my jam, and then what?
Yeah, so you make your jam and then you would, when it's warm, right? Usually you're cooking it, right?
Yeah,
Like your process for, okay. I've
yeah,
never made fig jams, but I'm assuming it's similar to most jam processes. You cook the
yeah.
fruit and add the sugar and add the Do you use pectin or are they
Um,
naturally high in
you
pectin?
can what ChatGPT told me is that I don't have to.
Some fruits are naturally higher in pectin, so you don't need as much or you don't need any.
Yeah,
And then some, like strawberries, you would need to add like a pectin to it to like make it gel,
yeah.
basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, you mix it all up, you cook it, and then you're gonna you're probably water bathing it for, well, what size jars are you putting it in?
I don't know. Probably smaller ones,
Like
like
half
jam.
pint
Like yeah,
or
probably.
yeah, like half pint little jam
Yeah.
jars. Okay. So, the general recommendation is to sterilize your jars. You can do that in the oven, or you can do that by putting your jars in the boiling water so that they're sterilized.
Okay.
And then you take them out, you add your jam, put your lid and your rings on, put them back in the boiling water. And jams are usually 10 minutes on a half pint jar. You could look up probably on ChatGPT, you could ask it how to, like for a recipe, for canning or the directions for canning. But yeah, so um, you'll sterilize your jars. You'll add your hot jam to the hot jar. You're going to
Okay.
put a little lid on it. The ring goes fingertip tight.
Okay.
Normally, also, you're leaving like half an inch of headspace. So, headspace is like the amount of space between the lid and the top of like your product that's in there. Because if you
Okay.
fill it too full while it's in the canner, it's cooking. So,
Yeah.
it's going to be your jelly is going to be bubbling in the canner. And so, those bubbles can get up in the seal of your lid and cause it to seal incorrectly. So that's why they
Good.
have like headspace requirements.
Okay.
So you don't want it to mess up your seal, the sealing
Yeah.
of the jar. And like half an inch is usually like that top little rim of the jar where the ring would
Okay.
go, roughly.
Yeah.
You don't have to be exact. It's not the end of the world. So you'll put your hot jam in your hot jar, put the lid on, put the ring on fingertip tight. If you go not tight enough, again, you may not get a good seal. And if you go too tight, it's tough to get off. So just fingertip tight, and then you're going to put your jars into the boiling water. It should cover the jars by like 1 to 2 inches. And then you're going to cook it it should be rolling boil for 10 minutes.
Okay.
So you don't start your 10 minutes until the water is fully boiling.
Got it.
And then when it's done, you can turn it off, take them out, and let them rest for a full 24 hours before you like touch them. Don't tip them over. Don't do anything because you need them to seal.
Yeah.
And so when it's cooling, it's going to suck that lid in, and there's usually like a little like circle in the middle that you'll see pop down, and you'll know your lid has sealed.
Okay.
Then the next day you can take the rings off and just check your seal. So basically I take the ring off and I pick it up like by the lid and I try to
Mm.
kind of pull it off. Not
Okay.
really, not hard, but
Yeah.
because you could pop it off, but it does take some strength to actually
Yeah.
get that lid to open. So if you're holding it by the lid and it stays on, you're good. Your jar has been sealed. Put the date
Okay.
on it, label what it is, and store it till you're ready to eat it.
Yeah. Okay. What if it's my last jar that I'm filling with jam and it's like half full. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, it should be a full jar. So you could still can it if you wanted to, but I would like eat that one first.
First. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just like too much room in there. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen people do it. There's a whole movement of like rebel canning.
Yeah.
I if that works for them, that's great. That's just I worked in food safety in a cannery. Like we canned tomatoes, Del Monte
Okay.
tomatoes, like the diced tomatoes you buy at the store, Hunt's
Yeah.
tomatoes, that kind of thing. And so I worked in that facility for a long time. I did like another like 8 years in food safety for a produce company. I just can't with the breaking rules on canning. So that's
Yeah.
fine. If that works for some people, that's great. But that's
Is
not
the
the life for me.
concern with is the risk there that there's too much oxygen in
See, I
it?
don't know why the half jar thing is
Yeah.
like not a. I would just like put that in your fridge and eat that like
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
Because like what are
Yeah.
you gonna do with a jar that's half full? You're
True.
not gonna give it to somebody. So yeah, I usually like I just made salsa last week and I had like probably a little less than half a jar, and so I just put in a Tupperware in the fridge and it'll be fine till we
Yeah.
eat it.
Yeah.
And then with like Rebel canning, like some people would water bath can low acid foods like meat or veggies, and the concern with that is botulism, and I'm not messing with that. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna follow the rules, and that's fine. I think it works for them. That's great.
Yeah.
This is not the life for me.
No. So, water bath canning is for your high acid foods and stuff. Um, so that means that pressure canning would be for
Correct.
low
That would
acid.
be for like meat, beans, I like bone broth, chicken.
Mhm.
I like to make bone broth, and so usually when I make it, I will freeze it, because I haven't ventured into the pressure canning just yet. But you would pressure can a broth similar to a pressure canning a meat, and how that works differently and why it makes it safer. I'm using air quotes here, safer, because I don't want the rebel canners to come after me. I think you guys are great and you're so cool, and I wish I could be that cool, but I'm not that kind of rebel.
No, you're just a sourdough rebel.
I'm just a sourdough rebel. I'm not a canning rebel. But process behind making it safer is so like botulism, the bacteria, it's a bacteria, and it creates spores, and these spores don't need oxygen to live, which is how it can get into canned foods because there's no oxygen, right? You've created an oxygenless environment, and so these spores can now grow when there's no
Mm.
oxygen, and it's a neurotoxin. All the things you can, do your own research on botulism, but anyways, so it can grow in an environment that doesn't have oxygen. So it needs to be cooked to, I believe the temperature is 245 degrees is the temperature you need to kill a spore of botulism from
Mm.
your food product.
Okay.
So you're not going to get that in boiling water. Boiling
Mm-mm.
water is 225 degrees. So you're not going to get that. Um, so by putting it under pressure, you are now raising the temperature of that boiling water to a point where you're getting at or above that 245-degree mark. Don't quote me on 245,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure that's the temperature for killing botulism.
Okay. Pressure canning seems scary to me because
That's why
you
it's
think,
taken me 3 years to give it a shot.
right, like, is it going to explode?
I have a pressure canner. I think I
Do you?
bought it like 2 years ago because that was my intention. And then I thought, well, let me get the hang of the water bath canning first. And I've done salsa, tomato sauce, diced tomatoes, jams, jellies, relishes, all the things that I could do. So now I think I've like done my checklist of water
Yeah.
bath canning items, and now I want to try like barbecue beans and
Mm,
like pot roast and like my bone broth and be able to preserve that to sit on a shelf
yeah.
instead of having to freeze it or take up room in the freezer. It's just like gonna open up some more pantry space and freezer
Hmm.
space for us if I'm able to do that. Like, how nice would it be to just like open, it's very convenient to like open a can of chili or open a can of beans. And so it'd be nice if like made them
Yeah.
instead of bought them at the store.
Well,
So,
and freezing it is great, but then you
sure.
have to have it thaw versus just open up your can and put
And it
it in
has
there.
to stay frozen. I
Yeah.
went out to
Yeah. Yeah.
our freezer the other day and you like opened it and I was like, it doesn't smell frozen in here. And I touched a few things
Mm,
and they felt like they were thawing. And I thought, oh no. So thankfully, my sister lives a couple houses down. I was able to scoot everything over into their freezers for a bit.
yeah.
I just made a Costco run, bought a bunch of meat, food
Oh
savored
no.
it. Like, yeah. Anyway, the
Yeah.
freezer's got to stay frozen if you're going to
Right.
use the freezer.
Yeah. Which
And it's a
is,
new freezer. I need
oh
to
no.
I need to solve that problem for another day.
What a
But yeah,
bummer. Have you have you thought about freeze drying things?
I have. That is
Yeah.
also on my list. Because I've got a lot of so in my garden I've got tomatoes, peppers, hot peppers and like banana peppers. I've got
Yeah.
some eggplant in there. Last year I had some onions. That would have been so nice to like freeze dry onions to like put in as like seasonings for stuff. So
Yeah.
yes, I would love to freeze dry stuff. I had zucchini and squash. The plants have hit their production max, so I pulled them last week. But anyways, freeze drying the zucchini would be great to do like zucchini chips. I mean, there's so many things I want to do, but freeze drying takes a lot of power.
Hmm.
And freeze dryers are expensive. And so it's on my list of things that I want, but I wanted to try in my mind, I've ranked things. So I wanted to try pressure canning first. If I like it with the cheap pressure canner that I bought, then I want to invest in like a good pressure canner,
Yeah.
do that first, and then maybe get to the freeze dryer. We also probably need to add some more battery storage
Mm,
if I'm going to get a freeze dryer, because again, it
yeah.
takes a lot of power.
Yeah.
And if you're in California, you know that power is a hot topic in this state. So I would like to have as much of my
Good
own
old
power as
PG.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. In
But yes,
Texas,
I think
power is also a hot topic, but for different
yes.
reasons.
Yeah. We've got friends and I had family that lived in Texas, so I understand the hot topic there too. But
Yeah. Yeah. I left one for another. That's all. Yeah, I want a freeze dryer so bad, but they're super expensive and um the more I looked into it, they're more maintenance than I require
Yes.
that I thought about. And you've got, yeah, obviously it's well, maybe not obviously. Freeze dryers um take out the water content of whatever you're
Hmm.
putting in there, and that water has to go somewhere, right? So the machine pulls it out, and then you've got to have your buckets to
You've got
collect
to
that
drain that
water. And
water. You've
yep,
got to maintain that engine. Yeah, and I
yeah,
didn't realize all of that
the
either.
oil,
So,
yeah, it's like
yes,
a
it's a
whole thing.
process.
I learned that, and then I was like, okay,
Maybe another time.
maybe another time. But I still want one
Get your
because
sourdough bread going first, then we'll talk about the
yes,
freeze dryer.
sourdough bread and canned water. I'm following exactly what you did. I'm gonna, graduate to sourdough.
It's like the gateway, right? Your
Yeah.
pita bread is your gateway. Now we're gonna go to the sourdough. Then we're gonna go to canning. Yes,
Yes.
it is. It is a gateway.
Yes. Although I might have to do pressure canning a little bit sooner. I'm growing, how the heck do you say this? Rampicante squash. Those, like, have you seen those? They're just huge squash.
No, but
No.
now I wanna.
Ooh.
Can I Google it?
So one of the reasons I decided to grow this particular squash is it is squash vine borer resistant. And if you
Ooh.
and there's you can kind of pick it whenever you want. So you can let it stay on the vine and like slightly over ripen, and it's supposed to be very similar to taste and texture to a butternut squash. Or you can pick it a little earlier when it's still green or like a light green color, and it's more like a zucchini.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
read that on Google.
Yep. And they're
Wow,
they're
that's cool.
huge. So I'm growing that, and they're ripening much faster than I thought they would. Um, and I'm super excited about it, but I'm gonna have a ton of squash really soon, and it's gonna be low acid, but so I'm gonna freeze some of it, but I'm gonna have a lot of it, and I that might be my entry into pressure canning. My figs and probably tomatoes are gonna be my water bath entry, and then uh these squash are gonna
Really,
be
for canning, like the biggest expense I would say would be like investing in the jars.
yeah.
And so I really love doing it. Like it's a lot of fun. My parents bought me a new water bath canner for my birthday. My mom got me this awesome book on I don't even remember the title, something along the lines of like meals you can can or something like
Mm,
that.
cool.
Or meals in a jar, something like that. Which would involve pressure canning because they're probably gonna have like meat in them. But anyways,
Yeah.
um, my family knows that I like it, and I love giving them as gifts to people.
Yeah.
I had 47 jars of salsa last year, and like five left. And my husband and I ate most of them, but I did give some away as like
Yeah.
gifts. But I made like a little tag for them that in a much nicer little like cutesy poem. But I basically said, "Give me my jars back, or you're not getting any more canned stuff from me," because it does add up
That's
over
awesome.
time. And so people will like our friends will come over for dinner like, here's all the jars that you've given me
Oh,
because I do love like giving them as gifts.
yeah.
But if you're not someone who cans, what are you going to do with that jar? Are you going to just throw it away? Because
Right.
they're kind of expensive. Just give it
Yeah.
back to me. I don't even need the lid or the ring. Just like give me the jar.
Yeah.
And one of my mother-in-laws, she does a lot of, she doesn't can, but makes a lot of like freezer jams or things like that. And so, like she'll bring us jelly and then I'll bring them jelly or something. And so we like swap jars all the time. And I'm like, oh, I don't think this is my jar. I think this is hers. And so we'll just swap jars every time we visit
Oh,
them. But yeah,
yeah.
bring the jars back for
Yes.
sure. That's also canning etiquette. If somebody gives you a gift that's home canned, please give them their jar back.
That's awesome. I'm gonna make that a tagline. Um, give the jars back. Um, do you have a favorite kind of jar? Brand
Um,
or kind or
Yeah, I just buy the like ball jars. Um,
mhm.
and I'll use their lids too as well. And then Denali Canning is another like brand of like they have good lids, rings. They've also got like canning stuff like pressure
Mhm.
canners and things like that. So if I like pressure canning, that's probably the pressure canner I will be purchasing. Um, but yeah, just the regular glass ball jars.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Walmart, wherever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I when we were in college, I decided it was like when country chic became like super popular. Um, I thought I had this great idea to use mason jars as our like big water cups because
Yes.
I just if I'm gonna drink water, like I've always wanted just like a big thing of water, not like a little glass. So I was like, this is great. This is a quart. It's 32 ounces. We still have them. Uh, that was 12 years ago. We still had the same exact ones, but I was like, oh my gosh, these are so cheap from Walmart. I love them so much.
Yeah,
Still.
they're great. I will sometimes drink my coffee out of them, although now I'm in the canning season, so all my jars that I use as cups have come out of the cup cupboard and are back
Yeah.
in my pantry and are prepped and ready for use.
Yeah.
But also with canning too, I wanted to say this is like you don't have to grow your own stuff to
Mm-hmm.
can. There is like no if you need to like buy your tomatoes at Walmart because you don't have room for a garden or gardening's just not even your thing,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make you any less of a like homesteader or someone wanting to like make food for yourself. It doesn't make you any less at that
Yeah.
just because you didn't grow it yourself.
Right.
Like, and if you're in California or somewhere where you've got like a high density like farming area too, call up like a packing house locally. Like they may let you buy like a box of peaches or whatever, see if
Yeah.
there's a local farm stand and ask them if they could put together like a larger box for you so you've got like enough to make it, worth the time and energy to like can something.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't have to grow it yourself. So
Yeah.
if, it's nice that you've got a fig tree, but like I don't have a fig tree, but I know that there are fig farmers locally. I would like love to pick some up and,
Yeah.
make some fig jam or you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you don't have to grow it yourself
That's a
is the
really
whole
great
point.
point. That I think, especially for like jams and jellies and compotes, um, I never ever considered. I don't know why. Why is that? I felt like it was just so compartmentalized in my brain of like if you're canning, it comes from your land or like a friend or maybe a farmer's market. But
Yeah,
like,
and I feel like that might be like social media is doing because
mm,
you like, see these homesteading accounts and they have a great garden and it's picturesque and aesthetic and it looks really cool. Okay, y'all, I'm not getting up and milking goats in the morning. I don't even have goats. I've got dogs. Can't milk a
yeah,
dog.
no,
Um, my garden is not aesthetic, but it produces but I love to garden. Like that is some enjoyable to me, like planting the plants and like watching them grow and like I enjoy that. But that's not a thing that everyone enjoys. So if
yeah,
you don't enjoy it, don't do it.
yeah,
Go buy your tomatoes at the store. It's
yeah,
fine. They're gonna taste great.
yeah.
I don't know what
Can
that
you see
is.
on your screen? It just gave
Yeah.
me a thumbs up. That's hilarious. Somebody approves. Great
Okay.
message.
That was so weird.
That was hilarious. I've never seen that happen
I
before.
didn't even do a thumbs up though.
No, you didn't.
I don't know what to do
That's
then.
really funny. I've never seen that before.
That's a hoot.
Okay. Wow. Um,
But yeah, I think social media gives a lot of that picture. Like, oh, I'm a homesteader and here's my
yeah,
cow and here's all my animals, my chickens, and you don't have to grow it yourself.
yeah,
It's doesn't negate the effort that you put into like growing or making something for your family just because you didn't produce it yourself doesn't make it any
yeah,
less homestead. You're still doing something and preserving food. And
yeah,
like I said earlier, like when in December I open that jar of salsa and it tastes like summer, there is nothing like it. And I forget every summer when I make the salsa how labor intensive it is because that one is a labor intensive process. But man, I'm so grateful in the winter when I can open a jar of salsa and my husband and I are like, let's have chips and salsa for dinner tonight.
yeah,
And we can just open a jar of salsa and it tastes like summer.
yeah.
So yeah, it's fun. Canning is fun.
Yeah. Well, you just lit a fire under my butt to go get my stock pot out. Let's
And it
get this
doesn't have to
jam
be a
going.
fancy canner. It can
Yeah.
literally be your stock pot. You may not be
Yeah.
able to fit as many jars as like a giant canning pot, but
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
totally fine.
Yeah.
Give it a shot, see if you like it, and then invest in, the bigger equipment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now I'm feeling motivated, feeling a little less analysis paralysis. I think what my problem with all of this is there's so many different ways to do it with sourdough, with canning. Well, maybe not so many different ways to can, but like
Well, there's
what
so
you
many
can
different
put in the
recipes,
can.
right? What
Yeah.
are you going to can? Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotcha.
exactly. Um, there's just so much information out there. What, Bubba? Yes. Yeah. He asked me, is my water still good? Um, there's so many different ways to do things, and you're just like one social media, the algorithm. Once look something up or you like something, then you're bombarded with 30 different ways that are the right ways to do it, and all different language, right? There's leavening, there's bulk fermenting, there's what's another word for it?
Cold proofing.
Cold
Yeah.
proofing, right? And like, and they all mean basically the same thing, right? Or
Yeah.
am I
I
wrong?
mean, they're just
I
like
don't even
different
know.
they're no, you're fine. There's just different processes to like doing things.
Yeah,
And yeah, you're right. You're overwhelmed because here's one, influencer that's doing it this way and well, I want my bread to look like that. Oh, but I also like the way that this person's looking and they don't do it like that. And they say that's wrong. And it's yeah, the analysis paralysis is so real. So I would say pick something that you enjoy, right? Like you've got all these figs from your tree in your backyard. Let's do that. Let's start with that. Start with something that like is accessible for you and do it that way.
yeah,
And or something that you're going to use too. Like if you aren't someone who eats a lot of jam, but you love pickles, go buy a bunch of cucumbers and make some pickle. Start with like pickle relish,
mm,
or sandwich pickles, or
yeah,
like pick something that you're going to use, and give that a try and see what you think. And
yeah,
if you enjoy that process, then maybe you delve into something else. But if you're like, maybe this isn't for me, then hey, you gave a shot and you're content continuing to buy your pickles from the store or whatever it
yeah,
may be.
yeah. I do think I want to make pickles and relish. It's hard to, in California, it was easier. Here, it's hard to find organic pickles in a jar. None of them are organic. And I'm a snob for organic, soft-skinned stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so pickles. I need to make some pickles.
I made
Now I'm full of
I grew some
inspiration.
cucumbers and I did
Yeah,
pickle relish last year
yeah,
and I'm not a dill pickle. I'm not big on dill in
sure.
general. But I like sweet relish and I put
Hmm.
it like when I make like tuna salad, I'll put it in
Hmm.
there. If I'm making like tartar sauce or the burger sauce, I'll
Yeah,
put sweet relish in there. And that I wish I would have made more last year. I
yeah,
think it was gone by February.
mm,
And then I had to wait for all my cucumbers to come
yeah,
back. So yeah, I love pickle relish. That was easy too because I could just throw everything in the food processor,
yeah,
and call it good.
yeah,
So that was a fun one to make.
yeah. Ah, man, now I'm so motivated.
Make a list of all the things you
Yeah.
want to try and then rank them
Oh,
and decide which one you're going to go with first.
thank you for that because I was just about to get totally overwhelmed and not start. That's something that I struggle with, which I'm trying to get over. Um, is I have all these grand ideas. I'm so motivated, but then I can't pick where I want to start because I want to do it all and I want to do it right, which has kept me from gardening a couple times. So this year or this season, I'm doing chaos gardening. Everything was too late. Like, I was like, I just need to do it. It's not going to be right. Things are going to fail, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Things are going to be eaten by aphids and totally destroyed. It's going to be okay. I just need to like do it. So
Yeah.
I need to write it all down, rank it. Ooh, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write them on popsicle sticks, and then I'm just going to take a popsicle stick
Mm,
once a week
great idea.
ish. Whenever
Yes.
I feel like it. I'm going to take a popsicle stick and just make that.
Uh-huh. That's a great idea. Yeah, the analysis paralysis is, I think that's something like women in general, I feel like we as a general population struggle with.
Hmm. Hmm.
And something my boss used to tell me, because I would be like working on a project for work and I'm like, it's not done, it's not done. And she's like, 80/20. We just need to
Mm.
get it out. We can perfect it, later on. Let's just get it done.
Yeah.
And so same thing, like 80/20. Okay, I've got like the garden out there, but maybe I don't have time to like get to the weeds. And so this year I did
Yeah.
plastic down to like help with the weeds. But anyways, 80/20, right? It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Just do it and
Yeah.
try it.
Yeah.
And then you know if you like it or not.
Yeah. Yes. See, there's things in life that I'm really great at that, and then there's things that like I like need that somebody knocking on my head, like 80/20. Come on, just start it. Just do it. You're fine.
Sometimes it helps me to put like post-it notes somewhere. Like I actually have a
Mm.
post-it note on my wall over there that says 80/20
Yeah.
as a reminder. So if when I get up from my desk and I'm like, I can't do this. I need like a minute.
Yeah.
I walk out the door saying 80/20. And so
Mm.
while I go to the kitchen to refill my water or use the bathroom or make a sandwich, I'm thinking, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
Do you find, because while you were speaking about that, I like took a deep breath as I visualized seeing the 80/20 in those circumstances. Do you find you do that when you see the 80/20 and you're all spun up? You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do like try to practice like a little like meditation, deep breathing. Like I just feel like it helps me kind of like center myself.
Yep.
So I do enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like a few minutes, shut the door or sit in your car for an extra, 3 minutes when you get home and just like breathe for a second.
Yeah.
Really just helps kind of calm the mind because I
Yeah.
find it hard to get things done when I'm thinking about all the things that I need to get
Yeah.
done. And it's like, it'll start to overwhelm me. And then it's
Yeah.
like, where do you start? What do I tackle first? What's the priority? And I can't even think about what the priority is because while I'm trying to think about what the priority is, I'm also thinking about the 37 other things that need to get done. So
Yeah.
taking a minute to like calm your mind. And it's tough though to put those 37 things out of your mind for a second. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It does take practice. That's why they call meditation practicing.
True.
You gotta something you
Yep.
gotta work on.
Yep. Man. Megan, if people want to connect with you, follow you, learn from your wisdom, remind themselves of 80/20, where can they find you?
Yeah. Mostly I'm hang out on Instagram most, the Sourdough Rebel on Instagram. And I do try to respond to like every DM that I get. Um, if you've got questions, like happy to answer them. Comment on a video and ask a question. I try to respond to every comment as well. I may not always see them, but I do try to get to every message and every comment. So if you don't get a response, ping me again. I'll see it.
Awesome. I loved learning from you today. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to The Young Granny Show. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and share with your fellow old souls. Until next time, keep embracing your inner granny.